Hello, I'm back with another bad video which hopefully won't bore the pants off some people on the forums. And this time I'm going to talk about a pretty new title, and yeah, see there's a shimmer out the shot, and it's Splinter Cell Conviction. The game had a somewhat turbulent development and a bit of a redesign midway through. When I say redesign, it mainly comes with a few combat elements and some vicious look. He was supposed to look like a hobo, think a sort of long haired down and out, and people didn't like that look, so Ubisoft thought, fine, we'll change it. But looks aside, let's talk about, well, let me talk about what I thought was good about the game and what could be the reasons why this game is rated so highly among gamers and critics alike. Now, the Splinter Cell franchise is naturally stealthy. It's always mainly been based around the stealth elements of the game. Now, Conviction sort of kicks that in the teeth and thinks, no, screw you stealth elements, I'm a bit more action orientated. Now, this can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing depending your stance as a fan on the Splinter Cell franchise. I have talked to a few people that don't like the new route it took, while I have talked to more people who prefer this new route. And most of the people do all seem to agree that the combat system is a bit better, and I too would agree with that. It's more fluid, it's more solid, and it feels more satisfying. Sam Fisher's also more able to soak up bullets and put a bit more of a fight up this time when he's stuck in a firefight. That was a main complaint a lot of people had about the past Splinter Cells, and they seem to have corrected it this time. In typical fashion that a lot of developers now seem to have taken, the game does seem a little bit more geared towards the casual market, and perhaps this is to get a wider audience towards the game, which is understandable. But this also does, as I said in my Final Fantasy Thoughts video, this does run the gauntlet of being rejected by their old fans. But Splinter Cell does manage to stay a little bit loyal to its past 100% stealth elements, and the new combat elements and the stealth elements blend together nicely. But I'm not going to talk about the gameplay just yet. Instead, I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about the story either, just in case I put any spoilers in by accident. I'm going to talk about the presentation of the game. Now, the presentation is extremely slick. Some graphical issues do arise in enemies' faces that tend to be a bit blocky. This can be a little bit distracting, but let's face it, you're not going to be spending most of the time in game standing this close to the faces thinking, ooh, it's a bit blocky. All the blockiness on the faces, the game is pretty damn good looking. No, I'm not attracted to it before you see. The lighting system in it is probably one of the best I've seen in a long time. It seems to naturally flow, it looks natural, which a lot of games fail to pull off. A lot of lighting does look a bit, how can you say it, unnatural in a lot of games, but I'm going to name names. And the presentation in Splinter Cell Conviction does manage to give off the realistic look they were looking for, as well as being gritty in places, which is a pretty good feat. It does manage to blend colours and dark colours together to make it look nice and varied, and it doesn't tend to just stay in one theme like a game like Gears of War 1 did, where everything was black, grey, dark and brown. So let's talk a little bit more about the gameplay. The gameplay is a mix of action and stealth that comes together quite well and quite nicely. Nothing is sacrificed. The stealth elements are not sacrificed in terms of the action being more intense, and the action isn't sacrificed for the stealth elements, making something that feels overall well produced and well developed. Gunplay is fast and fun and easy to pick up, no frustration there, and there's quite a few mini mechanics in there which all contribute to the stealth elements, such as the screen going black and white to allow you to see that you are fully hidden. There is a new marking system which you gain marks by using hand-to-hand techniques to assassinate a target, and you can mark enemies and then press, I think it's Y, and it will instantly kill these targets. It's like a mini cutscene, and you'll go in and kill the targets. Now this can feel sometimes like you're coming out the action and the game can kind of play itself, but it also gives the impression that Sam Fisher is ruthlessly efficient and is not to be effed with, and at some points it does make it feel like a game based on the Bourne film series. Now of course that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the Bourne films were very fast, stylish, and Convictions follows in the same way. The game overall, I'm going to talk mainly about the single player experience, is a solid, very well written, and the voice acting is fantastic, by the way. Very well conveyed story, which has a number of twists and turns, and it manages to stay compelling. And it doesn't do what a lot of games manage to do now, by dragging the story on and on and on to the point where you just don't care, and you really cannot be arsed finishing the game. That was the main issue I've had with games in the past, such as Bound in Blood and even Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I thought the story dragged on a bit, but that's getting a bit off topic. Now, the story will take you around 7 to 10 hours, depending on difficulty, and within the story you can complete a number of challenges which allow you to purchase upgrades for your weapons and equipment. This is done by points which you gain by doing these challenges. Now this challenge system runs throughout every game mode in the game, so that includes the deniable ops, which is a little bit like the hunter maps that you have in Batman Arkham Asylum, but I think there's 4 game types for the deniable ops, being hunter, where you eliminate all the enemies in a zone. There's infiltration, in which you must infiltrate a base and eliminate the enemies without being detected. If you're detected, that's the end. And there is a survival, where you have to protect the EMP point in this map and eliminate waves of guards, a bit like Horde that you would see in Gears of War 2. This all adds a bit more extra replay value and game time to the overall package of Conviction, which is very welcome. As well as this, you get a co-op story which acts as a prequel to the main story in Conviction. This adds around about, I think it's 5 to 7 hours of gameplay, and co-op is always a good thing. There's a few new mechanics in co-op, such as the ability to pick up your down partner, and in some cases the enemies will grab your partner like that, which will require you to take out the person grabbing your partner. And there's nothing much else to say. Oh, there is one multiplayer mode. A lot of people seem to be very angry about the lack of multiplayer. A lot of people seem to have this built in mind that there is no versus multiplayer in Conviction. Now this is wrong. There is one mode which is called Face Off, and it's a little bit like Spies vs Mercs from past Splinter Cell titles. But there is a slight difference. It's only 1v1, one person playing as the Merc or Guard, one person playing as the Spy, and, well, as you can guess, 1v1 action. Now this is a little bit disappointing, as I really did think they would bring back Spies vs Mercs. I think a lot of people thought that as well. But this does not put a huge downer on Conviction as a game overall. Conviction is a very solid title. The single player lasts you a while, the story's good, the gameplay is good, the visuals are nice, the lighting's excellent, and there's nice little touches in Conviction in bits and places which I would love to see implemented into future games. Now, if I had to give Conviction a rating, I would give it 4 crayons and a Stig. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've had a wonderful brainwave. I was thinking if perhaps we could try and implement a competition system into the YouTube channel for the official Xbox forums, and I thought fine, and I thought, well, what could the prize be? And I started thinking anything on this shelf, so let's just say I'll pick a prize. These crayons. If you put your name down in the comment section for the competition, you can win this fantastic pair of crayons, or maybe even a mini draft set The choice is yours. And that's pretty much it from me, and I hope I didn't bore you this time.